Hello, welcome to San Francisco Weekly News. My name is Diane Smith. Today, we begin this episode of San Francisco Weekly News with a tribute to Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle was assassinated April the 1st, 2019 of this year. He was an American rapper, and he adapted his stage name from Nipsey Russell, an iconic black comedian and actor. Born Emias Asgetman, Emias Asgetman in Slauson, California. His early calling card was injecting hazy humor into his rhyme style, a la Snoop Dogg. But his flow owed more to the unflinching gangland narratives of the early hip-hop kingpin Ice-T. A full-fledged member of one of the more notorious subsections of the Crips gang, Nipsey Hussle became a quick mixtape favorite in the late 2000s and his gritty street observations. Starting with Slauson Boy in 2005, the rapper issued a trio of Bullets Ain't Got No Name volumes in 2008 and 2009 before moving on to The Marathon and its sequel in 2001. His eighth official tape, Crenshaw, arrived in 2013, drawing attention to its $100 price tag. It still broke into the top 40 of the Billboard Heatseekers chart and featured appearances by James Fauntleroy, Slim Thug, Zero, Rick Ross, and more. Mailbox Money was released on the last day of 2014 and featured guests like Rich Ross, Dom Kennedy, Tay Truth, and producers DJ Mustard and DJ Cahill. And now, I mention these names because those of us that are older, we didn't know who this brilliant young man was. There were some, if you had young people in your home, maybe you did, but a lot of us did not know his beginning. So this is going to be a tribute and an education on who this brilliant man was, this brilliant black man that we lost. I'm so tired of black men being murdered. I'm so tired of it. This man was a jewel. May his death not be in vain. May we all do better in our communities and make our communities a better place. This young man was a great example of someone that came up hard and made the change into caring about his community, into bringing entrepreneurship opportunities to his community. He wasn't as well-known a rapper but he was the most well-known rapper entrepreneur. The following year, Hussle returned to his own material with Still, which wrote a sample of Dr. Dre's Still D.R.E. and featured appearances by Salone Bone and Position. That same year, he issued Slauson Boy Volume 2, featuring Mozzie, Young Thug, Dave East, Snoop Dogg, E. Perico, Kurt Cobain, and Young Dolph, and more. A collaborative effort with Bino Rito. No Pressure arrived before the year's end. In early 2018, Hussle issued the official debut full-length Victory Lap, which featured guests like YG, Puff Daddy, Kendrick Lamar, The Dream, C. Leo Green, and more. The set debuted on the top 5 of the Billboard 200 and was later nominated for the Best Rap Album at the 61st Grammy Awards. President Obama wrote an open letter at Nipsey's homegoing celebration. See, Obama said, and I think he echoes the sentiments of so many of us, most of us, Nipsey saw a community that, even though its flaws, taught him to always keep going. Nipsey saw a community that even through its flaws taught him to keep going. Many of us have seen our communities, even though flawed, have helped us and taught us to keep going. Nipsey Hussle's public memorial service on Thursday kicked off with songs from his Grammy-nominated album. That's a picture of Nipsey with his fiancée, Miss London. This is the letter. Nipsey Hussle's public memorial service that service on Thursday kicked off with songs, as I mentioned. And I'm sorry, I'm not reading the letter yet. Everybody, so the DJ said, everybody put your hands in the air. It's a celebration. So we're going to celebrate the life of Nipsey Hussle. Yes, we are sad. Nipsey Hussle. We are saddened. Many of us are devastated. But also we are encouraged. And we will continue. A montage of photos featuring Nipsey from his childhood to his adulthood. And they played, and his fiancée, Lauren London, were shown to the crowd. And it was set to Frank Sinatra's record, My Way. And if you don't know My Way by Frank Sinatra, it is a great song. Because he said, I did it my way. And he was the chairman of the board. We know that Nipsey was on his way to become the chairman of the board of black entrepreneurship, and not only in the rap industry, but in the community. He would have started in the black community and the community of people of color, because we cannot leave out our brown, and the people of all colors, but the dominants are the black and the brown. But we appreciate everyone of all races, because if we're on the same page, that's all that matters. All that matters is who we are inside. Color, that should not matter, but it does. So we need people like Nipsey. There are other Nipseys in all communities. Embrace your Nipseys. Find out who they are, support and encourage them. And right now I'd like to give a shout out to Reams Review. Reams Review has been putting in work in the San Francisco, Bayview, Hunters Point community and throughout San Francisco. How far the influence of Reams Review has extended, I do not know, but we will have him on the show because we are going to start seeking out our Nipseys and supporting them. Anthony Hamilton invoked the spirit of the church when he performed in Hussle's honor. And the Nation of Islam leader hailed Hussle's ability to bring different factions together, to bring together the Bloods and the Crips. This is major. Additionally, being a media figure, Karen Civil published this letter. And I feel that this sums up the feelings of many of us older Americans. This is the letter from President Obama. I never met Nipsey, but I've heard his music through my daughters. And after his passing, I had the chance to learn more about his transformation and his community work. While most folks look at the Crenshaw neighborhood where he grew up and only see gangs, bullets, and despair, Nipsey saw potential. He saw hope. He saw a community that even through its flaws taught him to always keep going. He chose to invest in a community he chose to invest in that community rather than ignore it, the Obama letter read. He set an example for young people to follow and a legacy worthy of celebration. I hope his memory inspires more good work in Crenshaw and communities like it. Michelle and I send our sympathies to Lauren, Imani, Cross, and his whole family, and all those who love Nipsey. That was from President Obama. Nipsey was slain last month in front of the store he tried to use to empower his South Central neighborhood. Most who filed in for public Memorial Thursday were young adults, but ages ranged from small children to the elderly. We're not just here to get off work. We're here to take selfies outside of Staples. We can do that anytime, said What Up Levy, 27 of Long Beach, California. We're here for a great man. We're here for Big Nip. It wasn't his time. Or we feel he was gone too soon. Darren B. Harris waited outside the arena before the doors opened with his grandmother and other family members who wore black t-shirts with Hussle's face on them. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, said Harris. Everything that happened is so impromptu. We're all taking it in at once. He was a treasure. Harris's grandmother, who was there, Reba Johnson, said she couldn't miss this occasion to celebrate Hussle's life. She said he was bigger than his music. There were books and images of Nipsey that were handed out to the attendees. A book of nearly 100 pages contained numerous photos of Hussle with his fiancée London, his children and friends like Russell Westbrook and Snoop Dogg. It also had a heartfelt message from Rick Ross, The Game, and from LeBron James. The memorial was live streamed on BET. The hearse carrying Nipsey's coffin was scheduled to go a 25-mile lap through the city after the funeral, including past the property where Hussle had planned to turn an aging strip mall into new businesses and affordable homes. Please hear that, folks. Because you young people and all of us, this is what we must do. This is what we must continue. This is what must begin from coast to coast. We must begin to start businesses and build our own affordable homes. We have the money. We have the wherewithal. The money exists. And we could take a huge bite out of crime. Because a lot of people that are committing crimes is because of what? Because they don't have economic opportunities. It will ultimately, so it was scheduled to arrive in the Crenshaw district, where he was born on August 15th, 1985. Actually, Hussle was shot on March the 31st while standing outside the Marathon, his South Los Angeles clothing store, not far from where he grew up. The store will be one of the places that Hussle's casket passes. That passed during the procession. Eric Holder has been charged with killing Hussle. We've been told that Eric Holder, who pleaded not guilty, was just released 2 days prior to Nipsey Russell's assassination. There are pictures of Holder being in the company of Nipsey. Sometimes haters are right in your group. Young black men, so many black men are murdered by someone that they know that's running with them and they're hating them. That's called haters for the older folks that are watching. I'm sure you probably know by now, but just in case. We find it very peculiar that, we find it very peculiar that the murderer was just released 2 days prior to assassinating Nipsey, and that he was found 2 days later. This is a miracle, or is this a conspiracy? We do not know yet, but more will be revealed. For a decade, Hussle released much sought-after mixtapes that he sold out of his car. That's how he started. He charged $100 for his 2013 Crenshaw, for the mixtape Crenshaw, scoring a cash and publicly cooping with Jay-Z, who bought 100 copies for $10,000. Jay-Z set up a $15 million trust fund for Nipsey's children. Last year, Hussle hit new heights with Victory Lap, his critically acclaimed major label debut on Atlantic Records that made several critics' best of lists. That's a picture of Nipsey with P. Diddy. I have a picture of, we saw that's how many people were out there. This is how people were lined up when at the Staples Center, along the streets rather, the day of Nipsey's funeral procession. So they were standing outside, thousands and thousands of people. He was a widely popular figure. Nipsey Hussle was a widely popular figure among professional athletes, especially those based in LA, where he was a regular on the sidelines. Players admired him for his community building. The critically acclaimed set would be his only official release, which was the Victory Lap. Oh, yes. These are some of the people that were at the memorial. Obviously, President Barack Obama. That's Rihanna. That's Bruno Mars. And that's a young lady. Some of you young people know who she is. I think it's Cardi B. And that's Nipsey in the middle. Darren B. Harris waited outside. This is one of the mourners. He waited outside the arena before the doors opened with his grandmother, and we talked about him earlier. They wore a black t-shirt. People just, people followed him. Why did they follow him? Because he wanted to improve his own community. He wanted to invest in his own community. He wanted to purchase land. He wanted to create opportunities, economic opportunities. And nowhere do you hear nonprofit organization. Folks, when people get involved, nonprofits have a place. But if we talk about being progressive, when we talk about going forward, when we talk about posterity, we have to place nonprofit organizations in their place. And that also includes the black churches. If they have limits because their 501c3 status or their nonprofit status says that they cannot become politically involved. That's why there's a lot of nonprofit organizations, and the communities are still being gentrified in the midst of these organizations that are designed to help with housing, that give, I developed a series, I digress for a moment. I developed a series of first-time homebuyer workshops, get ready, credit repair, and you would think that organizations, and this, I'm not the only one, but this is what I did in San Francisco on Bayview Hunters Point. The problem was the nonprofit organizations. The problem was we didn't have young people like the Nipseys. So what's going to happen now is those of us that are older, that have the information, that know history, have the professional knowledge, we are going to support the Nipseys in our community. We're going to give them the information that we have. We're going to give them the support that they need so that they can carry on and do the job. We've got to get out of the nonprofit cycle, and Nipsey was a perfect example. He wasn't going anywhere asking anyone for money. So all you people that have the money, all of my, I say my in the sense that I'm a 67-year-old black woman, all of my young black people that are managing money, you know what I mean, my money managers, my money brokers, my investors on the block, I want you to come together, put your money into something that's going to build and that will also give you a return. What will the return be? Not only will it be money, monetary gain, but something more important, and that is the development and growth of young people. It's not for black only, but we start with black and we start with brown. Because Nipsey has given us a perfect example. So the LeBron James, Russell Westbrooks, the Jay-Z's, the P. Diddy's, there are a lot of influential people. Bruno Mars, wonderful brown brother. We've got to all come together. Let's bring that money together and let's bring it to the community. Let's improve the community and let's keep the sellouts out of it. Because they assassinate. They character assassinate. They will physically assassinate, like they assassinate this boy, this man, this young man. So, this guy, and we mentioned that he purchased a strip mall. In part, Hussle's broader ambitions was to remake the neighborhood where he grew up and attempt to break the cycle of gang violence that lured him when he was younger. See, we must break the cycle of gang violence that lures young people. You know where your Nipseys are? Find your Nipseys and support them. Each and every one of us can be a Nipsey. But we need heads. We need leaders. But each and every one has to be a leader in their own right. Because if the leader kills, the movement cannot die. When I was coming up, it was Martin Luther King. After he was shot, the movement died. When I was coming up, we had the Black Panthers. They were infiltrated. The movement died. Let's not let the movement die. We have peace between the Crips and the Bloods. Anything is possible. It's very clear that Nipsey was a man of God. And with God, all things are possible. He was creating a golden opportunity zone. Even as his music career accelerated, Nipsey Hussle pictured, that's a very small picture, and I apologize. But anyway, excuse me. This is very hard. So, we ask that you hold his family in prayer. We ask that you hold his family in prayer. In the meantime, there's a light rail coming to Crenshaw, and Nipsey, Crenshaw qualifies as a tax-advantaged opportunity zone, just like Hunters Point is a tax opportunity zone. We have to be careful because they get gentrified. If we don't have a Nipsey, see, you guys can prevent that from happening further. Nipsey may not be hip-hop's biggest name, but he is certainly among the genre's most entrepreneurial. His slow burn career started to catch fire 6 years ago when Nipsey offered 1,000 copies of his mixtape Crenshaw for $100 apiece. Jay-Z, as I mentioned, bought 100 copies. Before his death, he revealed he was making a documentary profiling Dr. Sebi, who claimed he has successfully cured AIDS. Dr. Sebi has 17 children. If he's cured AIDS, that would be marvelous. We mentioned 17 children because Dr. Sebi was very busy. So we have a lot more information to find out in regard to whether or not there was actually a cure for AIDS. But we do know that had Nipsey Hussle, lived, we would have found out more. But let's say we will still find out more. There's someone else there. There's thousands to take Nipsey's place. Pick up the baton, and carry on. Our deepest condolences.